Hello, this is my presentation on Kabuki theater, and say hello to my table of contents. So let's talk about tradition overview. So before Kabuki became a thing, Japan as a country did not have as much of a prosperous economy as it was today. As back then, it held only higher class people were able to afford entertainment through theater, while middle class and even lower class had no access to that. It wasn't until Tokugawa Ieyasu became the shogunate of Japan and brought peace among Japan. He spurred an economic boom that allowed for people to have disposable income. Now, the lower class used that disposable income for entertainment and theater. One of them was Izumu no Okuni. She was able to gather a troupe of all-female women in the Kyoto River bank and give off performances for the people who watched. The performance at the time reflected upon earlier traditions such as No, Kyogen, and Bairaku. It also reflected Buddhist prayers, which helped it to gain large popularity. Now, at the time, the women were concerned about profit, and through that profit, they focused on how to make as much as possible. And through that, some of them resorted to prostitution. Now, prostitution caused two main problems for Japan. One for the male audience and one for the Tokugawa government. The male audience largely fought violently to get the attention of the women, and even more violently in order to find out who took the more popular women home with them. It also caused problems for the government because the government had a large moral system in place, but government officials subsequently visited Kabuki theaters and watched these shows, and it created an embarrassment for the government. And to save themselves from future embarrassment, they banned all women from performing Kabuki. How Kabuki remedied this is through the omigata, which usually partakes adolescent boys with higher pitches to take the role of women. And Kabuki now utilizes a large sense of historical conflicts and character development and focuses more on the display itself or the meaning itself rather than just the actions. It also creates more emotionally moving scenes, and they also expanded themselves from just Kabuki theaters to selective theaters and also rural areas in Japan. So let's talk about the convention. My convention is Arigato, and it was created by Ichikegawa Danjuro the First. He was the first Danjuri. Arigato is known for the reckless warrior style and also the wild warrior style. It uses advanced gestures and exaggerations in order to convey meaning for the characters. They also develop many forms like Mae, Daite, and Roko. Mae is a dramatic presentation of movement and also movement and other dance-like gestures. While Roppo and Daita use violent sort of movements in order to display fighting or power of a character. I wanted to focus on Mae. And Mae is, again, draws attention through a particular moment through emphasis on movement and also exaggeration to create the climax of a scene. So the convention exploration, how I explored Arigato and Mae is through the scene Shibaraku. Shibaraku is probably one of the most Arigato style known styles of Kabuki. You can see here that Kagemasa, the lead character in Shibaraku, shows off his Mae pose. It's called the Gandoro pose. uses his broad movement and vocal style. Now, context to what he's doing, he's trying to save these people who are rebelling against the Lord that just conquered Japan. And the Lord, sentences these two to death, but Kagemasa saves them. And the pose you see there is his entrance and establishes him as a character. His movements help to demonstrate his power as a powerful person. So here I tried to mimic his pose first by trying to create his stance. This is my stance and this is his. I looked on what to improve on, and by then there was times where it's more than just one pose actually. It holds similar poses, but he creates more gestures and rotations around his hands in order to make himself appear larger. And when he appears larger, he looks more powerful and it makes the scene more impressive. It's called striking an attitude. And also, the second half of it is his speech. So the speech creates the vocal. The speech consists of vocal styles that portray him portrays him as the character, as opposed to how other characters are portrayed. He's very loud, but has a light voice, but it also has a deep sense to it. This is my initial attempt to try to mimic that.
How did I arrive? You were safe as a battleship for the first time.
So I could see that my voice wasn't as high pitched, but it was deep and it was loud. So it was also a slow pace, so I need to work on that. So this is my second attempt at trying to make his voice. So
now that I have arrived, you are as safe as a battleship.
of course my voice isn't that high and I'm trying to see problems that I can work on. And so I focused on how to make my voice deep but also higher pitched. And I focused on problems that I have. I looked up ways that you could do this, and you have to talk through your diaphragm. You can notice that there's a main difference between how you talk with your chest and how you talk with your diaphragm. With your diaphragm, your stomach is expanding and also contracting. While with your stomach, if you're breathing through your chest, you notice that your shoulders will rise and they will fall. While if you're talking with your diaphragm, your stomach will expand and contract. You can also speak through your nose, speak through your mouth, not through your nose. What that means is you have to clear your throat. You have to avoid a nasally voice to limit the amount of deepness that your voice has and allows for that lighter pitch. So this is my moment of theater. My moment of theater is the Shibaraku when he enters and establishes himself as the main character. You can see that his speech here, I translated it from Arabic Japanese to English. And this display of power that he has creates him as the main character, the hero, and it brings the climax to the scene that he's going to save these people. And you can also hear in his voice that he tries to go against how the villain is portrayed. Kagemasa's voice is going to be very loud, light, and broad. While the villain's voice is a lot deeper and shallower. So what to look for in my performance? My performance will consist of both the Roko pose and the lines that Kagemasa says, but I will say it in English for performance reasons. You can see that the Genroko pose will be a slow but has a rigid motion, where my rotation of my arms will carry my meaning. You can see my facial expressions and my assertion of my power. My voice will also carry my heroic atmosphere and helps to communicate what I say as opposed to the villain. So this will be my performance. I left the English translation here. Now that I have arrived, you are as safe as a battleship! Now, for the first time, I want to know why Takehira wants to decapitate these people. So, why this performance? I chose this performance because it extrudes quite a lot of confidence and vocal communication needed to elaborate what you want to do. I, as myself, I'm not a very strong performer or very well experienced in theater. I also lack being able to communicate through myself, and through this experience, I gained a better understanding of how to communicate what I want to say, not through my body, but also through my voice, and my body. It also helps me as a person to become a more confident speaker. To know, so I saw connections to Kabuki. I saw connections from Kabuki theater and Elizabethan theater. Elizabethan theater allows both depicts similar attributes to one another. Kabuki and Elizabethan theater both originate from the desires of their citizens. It also reflects their daily culture, such as harsh punishments for minor inconveniences. It creates stoicism of emotions, and also similar stories, such as a heroic character rising to power from his background of low power to someone who symbolizes heroism in daily lives. Kabuki also originates from the necessity of citizens, where they were both bored. How they were both bored is Elizabethan theater was so bored of their original things that they looked for other cultures to display their own twist on things, while Kabuki wanted their lower classes to experience something more. You can also see how they mimic each other in roles in men playing female roles, as well as how they use a fixed group of actors. Kabuki and Elizabethan theater. Kabuki focuses on motion rather than text itself, stances, things like that. Elizabethan theater focuses on text and meaning. So my reflection on the learner. This helps me to realize that that Kabuki is more than what they say. How you express your face, how you move your body, and things are all communicating what you want to say. It helped my confidence as an experienced actor. I largely underestimated how much confidence and how much that goes into performing. It's how you communicate yourself and also express yourself. And I learned a part of that through this presentation. I also learned to further advance my communication skills, become more confident. And compared to other experiences, I have not experienced much at all. I have presentations before and other things, but they did not give me enough time to reflect upon what I can do differently. So this is my works cited, and that's my presentation. Thank you.